Hey fellas, how's it going? The year is winding down, and so I thought it'd be kind of fun to go take a look back at the things I've watched in the last year in terms of anime. Probably the most amount of anime I've watched since I was in college. Yeah, we're just gonna, just do a rundown, go take a look at them and rank them up against each other. I mean, definitely doing the Nostalgia Pile podcast has made me watch more anime. A lot of anime I've not seen or would probably not have seen otherwise, and I'm pretty happy for most of them. Yeah, we're just going to be going through them. We're going to be ranking everything on this scale here. We have Masterpiece. Things that are absolutely phenomenal, outstanding, near flawless, completely untouchable as a piece of media. They deserve the praise, and you know that they're good because people hate them just because they're popular. They'll make up 1,000,001 excuses to say why it's shit, and the real reason is because it's popular and I have to be contrarian. Right? That's what this is. Amazing is the step lower from that. It's a really great piece of media. It does everything you want it to. It was enjoyable, or at least, there's a great amount of value all the way through. But there's a couple of things that are just like that you don't like, or that they did kind of weird. So you're kind of like, it was amazing, except for a couple of these things. It would have been perfect, but other than that, it's amazing. Great is the step lower than that, where it's just like it was great. It had a lot of good stuff going for it. They did a lot of things I enjoyed. I enjoyed most of it all the way through. But there's definitely parts that are more glaring. Good is the step lower from that, where it's just like, it was alright. Fine is where it's just like, this is just a serial anime. I watched this, I didn't dislike it, I can't really remember much of it because I thought it was just okay. And then bad is, of course, things that are just like, I watched this and I finished it, but I did it kind of begrudgingly and then dropped. In this case, I'm going to reserve this for things that I wish I had dropped and that I hadn't seen. I'm not quite sure if there's anything on this list that is going to make it that far, but I will, we're going to keep it there. So, what's on our lineup? Very important question. We have Shikanoko, Nokonoko, Koshitantan, the brain rot anime. Did I ever tell you guys that when I went to my anime list to look at things, I clicked on the Shikanoko one, and all three of the reviews at the time were all based, it's all brain rot, positive, it's all brain rot, iffy, it's all brain rot, bad. Those were the three categorizations. There's people who love that it was fucking shitpost, people who were like, whatever, it's cool, but there's just too much shitpost, and then there was people who hated it because it was shitposts. That was the full thing. I don't think it's like that anymore, but it was when I looked at it, and I thought it was really funny. Promare, Studio Trigger movie, mecha, really fun. Gambare Douki-chan, which is like a anime short thing. I follow this artist on Twitter. Acchi Kocchi, which is not a new anime by any means. It's a really old anime, actually. I think it's almost a decade old. Slice of Life. The Night is Short, Walk on Girl. This is probably the most recent thing on the list that I watched. It's an anime movie as well, done by the artist who does all the art for the Asian Kung Fu Generation band. Plus Size Elf aired this year. Which is also, it's not a short, but it's like a half. It's 11-minute episodes. Onimai, I don't remember if I watched Onimai this year or last year. I watched it as it aired. And I couldn't remember if it aired this year or last year. Somebody else will need to correct me on that, but I'm just going to put it on the list here because I want to talk about it. Girls Last Tour, rewatch for the podcast. Frieren, I watched at the start of the year. This is Evangelion, and I'm including End of Evangelion on this as well, because I feel like you need to watch them together. Spice and Wolf, the new 2024 series Spice and Wolf. Dungeon Meshi. Birdie the Mighty Decode. Kobayashi's Maid Dragon. My Senpai is Annoying. Girl from the Other Side. Nichijou. Serial Experiments Lain. 'Tis Time for Torture Princess, Hell's Paradise, Gushing Over Magical Girls, Actually I Am, Flip Flappers, 86, Wonder Egg Priority, TP Bone, and Grandma and Grandpa Turned Young Again. That is our lineup right now. And if that isn't a star-studded lineup of things, then I don't know what to tell you. Onimai was 2023? Gotcha. We're still going to talk about it. So, I don't know how many of these that you guys have seen. But, you know, my word is law. I've only ever had good opinions, and so you will listen to me and be forced to believe me. Alright. Let's start. Shikanoko Nokonoko Koshitantan. Should I just put on the loop for this section? Drive people crazy? I'm gonna do that because I'm a bastard. Hold on.
Dear phony.
Dear phony. There we go. Alright. So Shikanoko. Shikanoko is slice of life, gag humor. It's totally... Remember to leave a comment roasting this man's takes? Of course. Shikanoko is like totally weird. It's bizarre. I can't really tell you what the show is about. There's a deer who shows up and is told, like, there's a blonde girl who's then told you have to take care of the deer, except the deer is functionally a demon that has attached itself to her. Gen Z Nichijou? No, Gen Z Nichijou comes out next year. It's called Cities. Or City. Yeah, it's weird. You're going to find out very quick through this list that I am somebody who very much enjoys slice of life. I love slice of life anime. This one, in terms of slice of lifeiness, I think was just kind of good. It was fine. Like, it didn't blow me away or anything. I definitely didn't hate it. I thought it was, for what it was, I thought it was really good. Some of the jokes land like, everything is a joke throughout the entire thing. They're just firing off, like, humor, like, back to back to back to back. It just never ends. So, you know, take that as you will. Just kind of a interesting, weird little slice of life thing. I'm trying to remember any, like, particular jokes, but I just feel bad. This is a show that's functionally, like, torture porn to a degree for this blonde girl who did not deserve any of the shit that she was getting. So if you want to watch this this blonde girl who's pretending to be a honor student but is actually a delinquent get harassed for, like, 23 minutes an episode, go for it. It gets to a point where you're just like, what the fuck? I don't know. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was fantastic, but it was okay. It certainly will live on in meme culture for a long time, and still is to a degree. I still get, like, memes and stuff where you see the girl go yatta, and that's, like, about it. That's about its legacy. It's okay. I don't really have very much to say about Shikanoko. What do you guys think? For those of you who watched it, how many of you guys actually watched Shikanoko? I'm curious. With the amount of hype that was built up around this show, I'm sure some of you watched at least an episode or two. If not, I totally understand. Remind you of Azumanga Diet? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't think I would watch an anime about World War II, but it's a cartoon comedy. I don't think I would do that. Haven't watched an anime in a solid 3 years or so, been mainly manga. Haven't seen the Adir anime or manga yet. It's, I don't know. If you like Slice of Life, you'll probably like it. If you don't like Slice of Life, you're going to hate it. Alright. Promare. Promare is a Studio Trigger anime movie about racism. It's incredibly in your face, ham-fisted about what its message is, which is that discrimination bad, you shouldn't hate people for things they can't help, and also the amazing power of the human spirit is go crazy. Fire Force ripoff? Not a ripoff at all. I'm gonna put this shit in amazing. I'm not gonna put it into masterpiece because it definitely is missing something. Couldn't finish it. I'm way too photosensitive for that. That's totally understandable. There's a lot of flashing lights in that show. It's great. It knows exactly what it wants to tell you. It's not afraid to tell its story. It just goes all in on what it's trying to get across to you. Great visuals. There's spoilers. There is a very, very hilarious homoerotic kiss that happens. There's a boy who looks like a girl. It's great. They have a whole set of characters that don't get used for some goddamn reason. One of them looks like a mix between like Gutsman and Raihan. He's cool. There's a little rat boy. And then there's also crazy mechs, and unironically, they just solve every problem in the movie by going Deus Ex Machina. The movie itself is very stupid. If you're there to watch it exclusively for what the story is, I don't know if you're gonna like it, but if you're there for like the visuals and like if you're there for like the visuals, the music, and everything else, it's more like an experience thing than like a follow the plot. The plot is very, very simple, but everything else about it is fantastic. We did a watch along for it for people who were in here when I was doing that. That was great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. There's a couple of things I wish that it did better, like, I don't know, maybe be a little bit more story focused or do things with all the characters that they introduced, which they just kind of don't. But yeah, it was good. It was definitely, I would watch it again. It was a great movie. This is one of those things where like I would get a poster of it if I could. Yeah. I don't know. It's I was like Gainax. That's not right. This is no longer Gainax. It's fucking Studio Trigger. They don't miss. I'm trying to think. Is there anything that Studio Trigger has made that has been like a complete whiff? Like I know some people are conflicted on Darling in the Franxx a little bit, and other people are kind of like iffy on BNA. But I think people are more iffy on BNA because it's a furry thing, and Darling in the Franxx I didn't watch, so I have no real opinion on it. I know people like Douki too. That's about as much as I know about Darling in the Franxx, is that they liked Douki too, and they thought that the blonde girl was weird. Blonde girl, blue-haired girl is what I mean. A lot? Like what? I need you to flesh out more of the stuff that you're saying about a lot. I would like to... I'm honestly curious. In the meantime, though, Gambare Douki-chan. I believe BNA had the worst luck when it came out around the same time as Beastars. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. I don't know. I thought BNA was fine. I thought it was okay. I definitely wouldn't call it a whiff. It was just, you know, It wasn't bad. It was not bad. It was if BNA was on this list, I'd probably put it in great. It was good. I'd watch it again. Probably should watch it again. Gambare Douki-chan. Each episode is like 5 minutes. If you've ever read the manga, I mean, I mainly hear people say the plot is predictable, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I feel okay. I'm gonna just take a pause right here. Anything that is like primarily made just by Studio Trigger, and they're just like kind of going crazy with it, I feel like most of the time you're not there so much for the story as you are to see what the fuck they're gonna pull off. Like, think of Kill la Kill, for instance. Kill la Kill has a lot of like extra stuff that they do. Like, the plot itself is like fine. Like, you get it. You get it. The plot of Kill la Kill is fucking easy and predictable, and like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, right? But you don't watch it for the plot, you watch it for the plot. And by that, I mean the fucking sick-ass fight scenes, because that shit goes crazy. That's why you're watching Studio Trigger shit, because you want to see motherfuckers beat the shit out of each other, and they do an amazing job with that. Or at least that's why I watch Studio Trigger. Sometimes you want a spectacle. It's not even just like a turn your brain off kind of thing, because, you know, there's another Studio Trigger produced anime on this list. Technically 2 of them, but there's another one on this list that's we'll get to it when we get to it. Anyway, Gambare Douki-chan is a slice of life romance kind of thing. Each episode is like 4 or 5 minutes or some shit like that. If you ever read the manga is really cute. The basic plot is that this girl, Douki, she likes her, I think it's her junior at work, her kohai at work, who is a quite literally faceless protagonist, and it's about her, another girl, and then introduced a third girl, all vying for this dude's affection. It's really, really short, really, really simple. It's really like predictable. It's mostly just like Japanese office ladies being cute. That's why you're watching it. You're watching it to see Japanese office ladies be cute. And in that regard, it fucking passes with flying colors and goes into great. If you're here just to see Japanese office ladies be cute in slice of life romance like kind of things, you're gonna love it. And plus every episode is like fucking 3 minutes. You're not there for any deep-seated plot. You're not there for anything like that. You're not there for like to try and like discover like what it means to be human. You're there to see these girls be cute, and in that regard it succeeds with flying colors. Put in great. I would recommend it if that's your thing. Me personally, office ladies, mwah. Fantastic. Alright. How many of you guys have actually seen Acchi Kocchi? I need to know. Acchi Kocchi is also, if you could believe it, slice of life. It follows this girl who likes the boy in the background there. Everything that is drawn is incredibly, like, adorable. It leans entirely into the cute factor for everything. I rewatched this anime because back in when I was, like a decade ago, I was in, like, a horrid fucking, like, depressive slump. I watched this anime, and it unironically grabbed me by the neck and pulled me out of the depressive slump because of how goddamn cute it was. And so, a decade later, I'm like, alright, I should watch this again. And, just see if it holds up. And you know what? Yeah, it is good. There's definitely parts where you're just, like, fucking get on with it. But, like, for what it is, it's fantastic. It's cute. The main characters are all cute. Like, the art style is just adorable. The music in it is really, really cute. I mean, that's just like that's it. Everything about this show is cute. A lot of references to popular culture in it as well, which is, you know, always kind of fun. I'm trying to think if there's anything like of note to actually say about it though, other than the fact that I remember it pulling me out of a depressive episode. Like the dude in the back. Okay, if you guys have ever seen, what the fuck is, I can't remember. It's something Sakamoto. It's the manga about the dude who like is so perfect that anything that happens, he just is able to solve the problem. Like there's that really famous gif where like he goes to take a seat, and like so the guys behind him pull the chair out from under him, and he just strikes the pose. The dude in this, like the main love interest dude, is that guy essentially. Just anything like that could happen just is bad that could happen to him. He's just like, he's fine. He's untouchable. He's just an actual like deity. I should watch Sakamoto Daisuka because that one looks really, really fun as well. Opening was a banger. Nice. I guess I should check it out. I guess the other funny thing is like everyone in this show has superpowers that never get addressed except for one girl who, like, by superpowers I mean everybody in this has like either super strength or is like a crazy intelligent scientist or some shit, and so they're able to like make massive horrible like monstrosities of like snowballs and shit to throw at each other, except for one girl who's like completely normal in every way. And so she's constantly just like, I'm gonna die if I keep hanging out with you people. And I don't know, it's cute. There's a lot to like about it. I really recommend it. I'm trying to remember. God, I need to look this up. I believe the main girl's name is Tsumugi. I love this song so much. Tsumiki, it's Tsumiki. Whoops. Let me see. I missed the point at which we changed animes from Acchi Kocchi. Oh, yeah, we're still on Acchi Kocchi. Don't you worry. We are about to move on. I just have to figure out who she voices, or who voices her, and it's just not telling me. It's someone who... Okay, Rumi Okubo. Rumi Okubo... who is the blonde chick in what's it called? The idol anime that everyone really likes. I can't think of it. Oh, that's right, she's a Stolfo! She's a Stolfo! That's right, she's a Stolfo! I forgot about that! That's who it was. I was like, I remember that she's someone in Fate and it's cursed as shit. Bocchi the Rock? No, no. That's not an idol. That's a music one. The girl who puts her fingers up to her eyes and her eyes has stars in them. Fucking not Idol Master. I didn't watch this show. I have no interest in this show. What the fuck is this thing called? Acidic Andromeda, thank you for the 6 months. Welcome back. Glad to have you back.
Howdy.
Oshinoko. Yes, that's it. She is this voice actress for the blonde chick in Oshinoko. And also Stolfo and Liz, which I forgot. Which is crazy to think about. Howdy. So if you ever wanted to hear a Stolfo be really romantic with Sakamoto, go for it. His name's Io in the show. He's all good. I highly recommend it. Anyway, next up. The night is short. Ochi Nokonoko Koshitantan. The Night is Short, Walk On Girl is another anime movie that I watched. This is the most recent one that I've watched. The plot of this is that this girl... I'm just going to put this here. This isn't the final placement, but I'm just going to tell you now. I'm putting this here. The girl here, who does not have a name. She's never given a name. The story follows her and then another dude who is vying for her affection, but she doesn't know. And she is just, like, living her best life the entire time. She's just walking through the fucking city of Kyoto and drinking the whole time. That's all she does the entire time, is she walks around and she's drinking. And it is a masterpiece. It's a phenomenal piece of media. It's hard to describe. It really is kind of hard to describe because I'm going to tell you things that happen in it and you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Let's just start with, like, the first part, like, first 20 minutes of the movie. We are introduced to her. We're introduced to the guy who is, interested in her, who keeps making coincidences to, like, run into her. The guy is her senior by, like, a year or something in college. They're college students. And so that guy is mugged for his underwear. He meets up with a Tengu man who chats him up with his friend. The Tengu man then leaves him to go. He starts drinking with a guy whose koi fish were stolen by a tornado. And they're, like, talking about how they're going to get back at this mob boss. This guy who he's drinking with is upset because his daughter is getting married to some dude. And he's really upset about it. Except this girl who he's been trying to, like, keep track of throughout this night has now wandered into the mafia man's, like, submarine car thing and outdrinks him in a drinking contest. And because she does that, the mobster loses his will to live and becomes sick, and it almost kills him. Now, that sounds like that's all a bunch of bullshit and insanity. Except it isn't. And it's amazing. It's one of the most beautiful anime I think I've ever watched. The art style is amazing. I highly recommend that you check it out. I think it's on... It might be on Amazon. I watched it with Cam. I don't know where he got it. Can it not be both? It's peak. It is actual peak. There is... Partway through the movie, there is an oden, what is it? Spicy hot pot eating contest where all the food is fucking enormous. And as they're eating it, they're being challenged to eat it so they can get their most desired thing. One of the dudes who's just eating with them just straight up dies. And then the Tengu is there, and they just get, like, grotesquely fucked up by this food. It's so good. The more I, like, think back on it, the more I like it. I'd initially, when I'd first, like, watched it, I was like, it's probably about here. It's really, really good, but there's a couple of things I wish they had done differently. And the more I think back on, like, what the show was like, or what the movie was like, I'm like, no, that shit was absolutely phenomenal. There's no other words to describe it. It was just phenomenal. Yeah, if you've seen, I mean... Sapphire obviously has very strong opinions on it, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's something else. There's nothing else I've ever seen that's quite like it. It's fun. The whole movie, all the way through, is just a good time. Also, there is a cowboy doll that represents the dude's penis, which is also in the movie, but you know. Cam only... Okay, you wanna know why Cam has the peak anime hookups? Is because Cam doesn't watch anime. He likes anime, he just doesn't watch anime. And so, if Cam is willing to sit down and actually watch something, all the way through, it had better be a goddamn masterpiece, otherwise his ass is not watching. Which is why I think that he also... I think he loves and hates the podcast, because it's just like, there's so much shit that we're like, you have to watch this. He's like, dude, I would not watch this shit if you didn't make me. Which is why I'm so tempted to put, like, Monster Girl Doctor on the podcast to make them watch it. I want to do that, Because Monster Girl Doctor has some amazing character designs, but is objectively terrible. It is not a good anime. The art style in the manga is fantastic. The anime is not good. Alright. Plus size elf. Moving on from that masterpiece to a masterpiece in its own right, we have plus size elf. Which, did anybody watch this? I know that the streaming services where you could get this were like bizarre.
Extra thick.
Very extra thick, yes. I like the plus size elf manga a lot. The manga is really, really like fun. I think fun is the best word I could use to describe it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It kind of just like does its own thing. It starts off as one of those like slice of life that has like the extra thing that gives it some spice, which is like a lot of slice of lives that are also like kind of romancy will like lean on cooking, for instance. And so there'll be like a whole section dedicated to like how to make this food, on top of also there being like, I don't know, a thick-ass Onimai out there who's just like, I'm trying to get in somebody's pants. But then also the real reason that they're doing is like, oh yeah, it's the cooking, but it's also an excuse to draw these extra thick bitches. There are so many manga like that. It's just hentai doujin artists who just make shit for that. I know about the Nikkei stream. I ain't watching it. Just tell me what happens later. Yeah, I'm thinking this one though was just good. It felt, I don't want to say it felt cheap, but it definitely like, okay, I've talked about this on stream before, I'm talking about it again. They make the elf, want to learn some Norwegian culture? My brother in Christ, I am half Norwegian. But sure. Yeah, they make the main girl like very, very fat as opposed to being like kind of chubby, which is what the manga has, at least for like the start of the manga. At the start of the manga, she's just got like a pot belly and they poke fun at it, but like she's not like morbidly obese. Out the gate in the anime, she is just morbidly obese, and it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't care as much if there was like more progression with it, but they kind of just start off with her being like hyper fat. I don't know. I also feel like they like tried to tie the story together in a weird way that just kind of didn't work. It didn't work for me. It was all right. Thinly veiled fetish. There's no thin veil. If you've ever seen anything this man has drawn, he loves the girls chunky. But I think that he was just like, man, they really made these characters really, really big. I remember he made a comment about it on Twitter. It's like, man, they really made the girls really big, huh? I think they leaned way more into that kind of fetish, which I do not have a fetish for, so what are you gonna do? Alright. Speaking of fetishes, Onimai. How many of you watched Onimai? The goat doesn't dig the big gals. I don't mind big gals. I don't really go for girls who are like big, if you know what I mean. That's just me, though. I am ableist and what's the word? I keep on wanting to think the word communist, but that's not it. There's another word for it. I can't think of it. Yeah, I'm a bad person. Because I have a type. Anyway, Onimai. I need to know, how many of you watched Onimai? You need to out yourself right now. And if you don't, how many of you read Onimai? It never spoke to me. I don't know. Doesn't look interesting. All right. Onimai, I would put into the great category. Great or good. So, I was actually looking forward to this because I like the manga. The manga is adorable. It's really, really cute slice of life shit. The main plot point is that the main character, who's this little girl, is like gender bent from like being this girl back here, from being her older brother into this girl, and then she's doing that to try and like fix her because he's a neat like loser who sits at home and goons all day. And she's like, I'm sick of you doing this shit. I'm gonna fucking take away your identity and make you a little girl. And then it's functionally just him discovering the joys of being like a not neat anymore, slowly but surely, as time goes on. And, the actual manga, it leans way more into, like, the cute factor. It's more slice of lifey, really, really just kind of, like, fun. The anime, I might actually drop this down to just kind of good, but I'm so conflicted about it. Because the anime is one of the most well-animated shows I've ever seen. I know who one of the animators is. It's a guy called KU, which, if you recognize that name, that's the motherfucker who made, like, what's it called? Hollow Cure? The whole, like, Vampire Survivors Hollow Live game is all the art in that, I'm pretty sure, and, like, maybe even some of the programming is done by one of the animators that did this show. I've been following that dude for, like, 8 years now. Phenomenal artist. Amazing art style. Loves huge fucking tits. But what that meant is that this has become like one of the most amazingly well animated shows on the planet. The trade-off is that they leaned in way, way, way more into like the loli shit. And I mean like Prillia style loli shit. And I remember watching this and being like, I'm kind of mortified that this is like what they've done with this show. But it's so well animated, I can't look away. And I'm just like, eh. I'm so conflicted on whether it's great or good. I'm gonna leave it in great out of respect for the animators. I think that whoever the director was who said, hey, let's lean more into like the upsetting loli shit, I'm gonna be like, no, don't like that. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in great. Groot, yeah, it's Groot tier. That reminds me, I remember I was looking around on shit a couple of days ago, and I saw a comment somewhere that was angry at me because I have an unabashed hatred towards Prillia. Am I like... I'm trying to figure out if I'm like tripping. Is that not the general consensus, is that Prillia has a lot of fucked shit in it that people don't like, or am I just, like, not a pedophile? I've actively said that Prillia has, like, one of the coolest concepts in all of Fate that they have allocated to that shit, but, you know. I don't know. I guess I'm a bad person. Anyway, Girls' Last Tour. How y'all feel about Girls' Last Tour? Made by TK Miz. Dystopian, apocalyptic, more like. Slice of life, manga and anime series. This is another one I watched a long time ago. It was one of my favorite anime ever. And then I went back and I rewatched it again. I just kind of, I would have, if this was like, I don't know, when it aired, I'd probably put it in amazing or masterpiece. Going back, I put it into great. It's a great commentary on finding hope in a hopeless world, and how everybody else, a lot of the times the problems that are going to end up getting us all fucking killed come from people who do not give a fuck about anyone but themselves. And so, yeah, this shit, and so there's the commentary on that. But then my main issue with this show that we all kind of like agreed upon is that it's so slow. There's too much lingering on nothing that happens, which it's supposed to build atmosphere, but there are moments when it's just like a literal full minute of just looking at like a pipe. And it's just like, okay. As somebody who loves this show, and who has seen it before and loves this show, and now going back and rewatching this show, I understood the atmosphere that you're building after like 15 seconds. Doing it for I watched the minutes count by, a full minute of just ambiance and a pipe. I'm like, alright. I watched the first episode when it aired, and had just watched Maid in Abyss, so I wasn't as into it as I could have been. Yeah, Maid in Abyss will do that too. Yeah. It was good. I still like it a lot. Like, the final episode is still one of, like, the best, still one of the better episodes of, like, anime I've seen. It's fantastic. But yeah, I will remember this one fondly. And the manga, if you want actual peak, go read the manga. The manga is very short. It's like 54 chapters or something like that. And it gets you through all of the existential bullshit you could ever possibly want. It's great. Speaking of existential bullshit, Frieren. How do y'all feel about Frieren? I've already seen in the chat, Frieren is peak. How does everyone feel about Soul no Frieren? Masterpiece. Boring. Amazing. I call it a masterpiece. Yeah, that one. I thought Frieren was a masterpiece. I think most of the people who actually think that it's boring, like genuinely think that it's boring, their primary thing that they watch in terms of anime is action. They don't really dive much further outside of action anime. And when you get introduced to something that is so highly acclaimed and is not an action anime, you're like, I don't understand why people like this. It's okay. Not everyone is like... You don't have to like it. I'm not going to sit here and like it. I can understand why some people would say that it's boring. It's not for everyone. For me, though. But my money, that shit's a masterpiece. But I can definitely profile people who just... Their first reaction is like, I thought it was boring. You're like, well... My usual subconscious response to hyper-popular anime kicked in, and I don't feel like I want to watch it anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I feel like you get that with a lot of a lot of the masterpiece anime. It's just like, I've heard only good things about this. It can't actually be that good, right? There's no way it's actually that good. Oh yeah, when action happens in Frieren, like the fucking the tournament arc that's in Frieren, which isn't actually a tournament arc but pretty much is fucking phenomenal. But you know, Frieren likes to like linger on things. Like the whole point of Frieren is to, you know, redo a journey, but this time trying to focus less on getting to the end and more on the way there. I mean, you know, I could do a whole fucking, like, lecture about, like, what the fuck, why Frieren is the way that it is, but I'm not going to. I feel like a lot of people have already done that, and it's kind of overdone. I feel like saying that Frieren is a masterpiece is something that people are just gonna be like, we know, oh my god, shut the fuck up. It's just like, well, sorry, it's good. I bought the stupid fucking Frieren doll that has like 5 brain cells that I love dearly. I'm gonna travel with this thing fucking everywhere. Yeah, no, Frieren was great. Looking forward to season 2. I have the manga too. I bought it. It's great. Alright. Here's another divisive one, isn't it? Evangelion. Including End of Evangelion, the movie. So how many of you have actually seen Evangelion plus the End of Evangelion? That was a 1-season type. Oh my god, dude, Frieren is still currently being written. No. There's more, and because there's more, I feel like it's going to pay off for people who have already caught up to it, because if you're going through, like, a lot of the first half of Frieren is setting up what the fuck is going to happen. And then the second half of Frieren is objectively more interesting because they're actually doing more things. They've done all the world building, and now they're doing all of, like, the things in the world with the world building while continuing to world build. And so what you get with the end of Frieren, or what's going to happen with season 2 of Frieren, is they've already laid out all of the shit that's, like, been there. And so now you can just, people who are caught up just get to see all the fun stuff that they've, like, prepared. Frieren manga goes in hiatus after next chapter, sadly enough. Let the people rest. Let them rest. They deserve it. The Frieren manga, which I also own, is goddamn gorgeous, so that artist deserves to take a fucking break. Anyway, back on Eva. I'm not the biggest fan of the TV series, but I enjoyed the Rebuild movies. Yes, this is the original series and the End of Evangelion movie. None of the Rebuild stuff. I've not seen Rebuild. I watched Evangelion for the very first time, like, 2 or 3 months ago. And if you're in the Discord, you know what my opinions are on Evangelion. Yeah. For my money? Okay. I watched all 26 episodes of the original series. I made a comment in our podcast group chat. Hey, I'm really liking Evangelion a lot. I'm really interested to see what they do. I mean, so far it's probably a 10 out of 10 unless they fuck something up after episode 24. And then episode 25 and 26 happened. And I ain't gonna say what happens in those episodes. Just know that fucked up shit happens in those episodes that doesn't make any goddamn sense, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? For like 40 minutes, I'm staring at my screen being like, what the... It was... I couldn't have timed it better. Being like, oh, I hope I just got that through episode 24. I'm looking forward to see how they wrap this up and see how it goes. And then I get to episodes 25 and 26, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I remember I had made notes on it. I said that the dude who made this is a fucking, he stuck up his own ass. He's a philosophical purist and shit like that. And I'm just like, alright. What the fuck is this dude's problem? And I was like, okay. At that point, I was like, okay. I need to watch the movie. Because I'm clearly... Something's fucked up and I need to watch the movie, right? Everyone had the same reaction saying the last 2 episodes. Yeah. But I'll say this. I'm glad that I watched the full series all the way through And then after that, I watch the movie, because the movie makes everything that fucking happens in those last 2 episodes make sense. So long as, you know, you're not being stupid and that you're actually paying attention. And so, you know, I got through that, and I'm like, alright. Yeah. Yeah. That's a fucking masterpiece. Phenomenal. It's one of the best anime I've watched ever. Hands down. It's not even a competition. It was so good. Like, everything up until episode 24 with the normal series was a 10 out of 10. And then they get into the last 2 episodes, you're like, well, I don't know what's going on. You watch the movie, and like, I get it. Plus, major spoiler for the movie. I'm sorry if you're learning this way. Insanely major spoiler for the movie. But there is a scene where you do get to see a guy holding a real life, like, Rei Fumo. I don't know how he got it. How did that guy in the movie theater have a real life Rei Fumo? I didn't know they did Fumos, like, that far back, but I guess they did. Like, there is just a scene in there where there's, like, a guy in a movie theater. Well, there's a bunch of people. There's, like, a guy in a movie theater. A real-life guy in a movie theater who has just a Rei Fumo just sitting there. I'm like, I saw that shit, and I'm like, oh my god. The TV series are better than the movie, the remakes, I mean. I've not seen anything remake. I've not seen any remake, rebuild, whatever you call them. I've only seen the original series and then the movie. And I gotta say, I want to watch rebuild just because I'm curious to see... I want to see Shinji get fucked up more. This poor bastard does not deserve the shit that's given to him. He's one of the most sympathetic protagonists I think I've ever seen, because it's just like, God damn it. They really fuck you up pretty bad, don't they, guys? Like, you don't deserve any of this shit. Homeboy has trauma, and they're just like, what if we just kept traumatizing him as a joke? He's got trauma. He's got hormones. I'm glad that they actually explore the hormone aspect. Like, he's a fucking teenager who's just like, oh, I'm feeling these things, and like, I don't really know what it means, and then they just fuck with him. They just fuck with him, the poor guy. You're just like, God, shit, just leave Shinji alone, man. Poor dude. Yeah, that's a masterpiece. Alright. Next. The adults should not be near kids. No, they shouldn't. Slaps the head of 01. This bad boy can carry so much fucking trauma. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's unbelievably good. Need to go bye-bye Spice and Wolf masterpiece. I would put it into masterpiece, but I want to let this one sit for a little bit longer. I adored Spice and Wolf remake. It was so good. If you've seen the original series, it pretty much just takes like the original series and then just it kind of just reanimates it. It's so amazing. It's so good. It's such a beautiful fucking show. I can understand why people would be like, this shit boring, because there is just a lot of talk about fictional currency and mercantilism. But I loved it. I'm gonna let this one marinate a little bit longer. It's closer to the OG light novel. Yeah. I would need to read the light novel to be able to confirm that, but yeah. For now, I'm gonna put this into amazing, with it being popping into masterpiece if I do a rewatch of it, which I will eventually because I have to do a... it's on the wheel. I like this one so much I put it on the podcast wheel so I can force other people to watch it. Yeah, it's great. I don't like the art style as much, but it'll always be peak. I loved the art style in this. I like both. I thought both art styles were good. Yeah. By the way, for those of you who, speaking of Nikkei, because people in my chat keep talking about it, I had like a fucking epiphany moment where while playing the Nikkei event with Guillotine, I was listening to new Guillotine talk, and I just had like I got Xeroxed back into Spice and Wolf because they have the same voice actor, Holo and Guillotine, and the voice that the voice actress is doing for Guillotine is just Holo's voice, which is just be like an over the top old school like old lady kind of. Like, very chuny, and that's just how Holo talks, and I was like, oh my god. So yeah, just, you know, if you're playing Nikkei, just remember, Guillotine is Holo, so you should love her. Next. Back to Studio Trigger. Dungeon Meshi. Oh, Dungeon Meshi. So, I actually watched this one twice this year. I watched it in sub alone and in dub with Deja because she wanted to watch it. So I can judge this on both the sub and the dub, and I gotta say, the dub is really good. The dub is actually really, really good. I prefer the sub, but both were fantastic. I severely disliked it, no reason in particular. I see. I thought it was a masterpiece. It was thoroughly entertaining the entire way through. This is another one I feel like a lot of people, are going to dislike simply because it got too popular. This shit was all over, like, TikTok. This shit was all over, like, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, it was there. People were making edits of it. People were making redraws, like, manga panels, fucking HMVs and shit. And you're just like, damn. And yes, I do mean HMVs, not AMVs. I know what I said. I feel like, again, there's a part of a lot of people that's just like, me see thing that very popular, me hate this, right? I feel like a lot of people will be like, okay, this thing is it's too popular, it can't be that good, and I'm not going to look into it. I just think that the people who like it are annoying. Ergo, the show itself must also be annoying. So it's got to be bad. And you know, I don't know. I kind of feel that if I hadn't like watched through somebody play mouthwashing before it took off in like hyper popularity, for instance, I would probably loathe mouthwashing as a product. But I watched it. I watched somebody play it, and I was like, oh, that was pretty interesting, pretty cool. And then I was introduced to like the TikTok culture around it and the Twitter culture around it, and I'm just like, oh, people are crazy about this, huh? It tickles the tism for a lot of people, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Dungeon Meshi did that for a lot of people too, so a lot of people are just going to hate it based on that. But I thought it was fantastic. It's also, I love the manga. The manga is one of my favorite manga of all time. I'd actually, before this got animated, I have been recommending this exact manga to my friend group for like 5 years. And a total of 0 of them read it because my opinions do not matter to them. I'm calling all of you fuckers out. Send me hate in my DMs. Oh, that was good. Alright. Let's do a blast from the past. Birdie the Mighty Decoded. From, I think, 2009. Birdie the Mighty Decode has some of the best music in anime in it. It has amazing fight scenes in it. The art style is, like, very retro, and it feels, like, very nostalgic to watch it, because, like, I don't know, this is, like, the era I was originally watching anime in. I'm gonna say it was great. It was a really, really fun watch for having never seen it before. Even though I felt if you're like an old fuck like me, you'll watch this and feel nostalgic for it because even though you've never seen it, you'll be like, oh. Also, for those of you who are like DC fans in there, and there's a shot directly taken from this anime that is in Man of Steel. Just one for one taken. It's where like Superman gets like punches a dude through a bunch of buildings. It's like this crazy amazing shot that they pull off, and they took it straight from Birdie season 2. I really don't have too terribly much to say about it, unfortunately. I mean, Birdie, she's a space cop, and she goes around and she's trying to stop like an apocalyptic device from getting found. And so in the line of duty, she accidentally kills a kid, and to save his life, she merges his body with her own. And so it's just it's how they balance their life together as a crime fighter and also a high school boy. And it's good. It's a good show. I recommend it. Except here's the problem: you can't fucking watch it anywhere. There's no places legally that you can watch this show. There's not. They just don't exist unless you want to pay $800 for a CD set, a Blu-ray set. So, yar har, I suppose. I love DC, but I hate Man of Steel. I don't like superhero shit, so I don't know. I learned that from a buddy of mine. I'd never seen Man of Steel. I don't see Eminence in Shadow on this list. Didn't see it. Didn't watch it. You know what I did watch, though? Both seasons of Kobayashi's Maid Dragon, like, back in February. For, I think, the second or third time I went back and rewatched it. It's been a while since I'd seen it, though. And this getting a movie and another season. So, Maid Dragon is... I have an interesting relationship with Maid Dragon. It's one of my favorite series of anything ever. And I went back and I rewatched it and I was like, man, it's a fucking masterpiece. Maid Dragon is phenomenal. The one thing that I've heard people criticize Maid Dragon for is that there's huge tits everywhere. But even like in terms of fan service, it's really not that bad in comparison to other anime that are like this, I guess. Like, the most fan service that is there is that, like, there's tits that jiggle. That's kind of just it. And then, of course, Lukoa, who is, like, a nudist for some damn reason. But, I don't know. Lukoa is honestly the weakest part of the entire show. Her and Shota are, like, literally the weakest parts of the entire show. And they do not linger on those two very much, ever. So, I think they understand that. If you somehow have not heard of Maid Dragon, tired office lady who hates her life, drunkenly saves a dragon who then pledges her life to this girl. I only saw 3 episodes. Is it really good? If you like slice of life and also existentialism to a degree, and cute monster girl designs, you'll like it. If you don't like those 3 things, you're not going to like it. But yeah, it's good. Also, if you don't like lesbians, you're not gonna like it. There's a lot of gay in this show. A lot of gay in this show. But yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun. I appreciate this author, despite his art style and his fetishes, I guess maybe the best way to put it. He is still willing to like write a decent fucking story for the show. Like, he has another series out there that is just about, like, how growing up kind of sucks and, like, how it's, like, awkward and shit like that. And it's just, like, very existential and kind of fun. interesting like that. And then he also has another series that's just about huge tits and getting fucked by them. So, you know, just covers all the bases with that. I don't know. I love his art style, too. It's maybe one of my favorite anime art styles. So, I like it. I consider it a masterpiece. Next. My senpai is annoying. This was a manga series that just ended, actually, not too long ago, by a guy named Shiro Manta. He had been doing it weekly on Twitter. He was releasing, like, 4-panel comics of this on Twitter, or 4, like, page comics of this on Twitter for years, and it just came to an end. The plot is that this little green thing, this girl here, and then this dude here, kind of like each other. She likes him, except she doesn't want to admit that she likes him, and then he is oblivious to it because he's a fucking meathead. And then these two like each other, and I don't know what the fuck is going on over here, and then she's Russian. And then it's just office ladies working and just, you know. It's very similar to Gambare Douki-chan. Very, very similar to that. I just love the art style. The art style's good, and the, it's just, you know, it's just fun slice-of-life rom-com stuff. If you like slice-of-life and rom-com, you'll love it. If you don't like those things, you'll hate it. I don't know why you'd watch it if you don't like those things. There's not really a reason to. Yeah, it's good. The humor in it's also really good. So, I enjoy it thoroughly. Not much to say about it other than that. Yeah, I think that's just about it. Good. It's a good one. If you like those things, you'll like this. Girl from the Other Side. How many of you have seen Girl from the Other Side? Let me sum up this entire show for you. Right here. This is the show. This art style is amazing. You have this dude. Not this dude. What the fuck? I clicked... Okay, it's gone now. This dude who's like a demon man. Who... I believe if he touches the girl, she'll become corrupted and become like him. Which is a problem. He looks like this. She was like from a village that got fucked up, I'm pretty sure. And it's... I think the whole series is 3 episodes. You can watch it in an hour and a half. And it's interesting. It has some really, really fucked up horror imagery in it. It's got like really unique like art style. It has a super unique art style, super unique animation style to it. I have the manga of The Girl from the Other Side. It's the only manga my very superstitious Irish nan has read. She loves it so much because it reminds her of stories and songs passed down in our family from her great-grandma. Yes, it's like reading folklore put into a manga is a fantastic way to describe it. Like, imagine somebody actually put like a fairy tale with a fairy tale manga art style down and then made that, and that's what this show is like. I would call it... I haven't read the manga. The manga might be masterpiece. The anime itself I'm just going to put into amazing, though. Because, and according to the man who recommended it to me, Cam, the anime is missing a lot of the elements that make the manga great. It skips a lot of shit because they're just trying to like get it done. Yeah, it's and you can kind of feel that as you're watching it. Otherwise it's fantastic. It's one of the more interesting things I saw this year. Yeah. If you're wondering, chat, Klidge, you have 3 tiers that are not fleshed out at all. You've not put anything into fine, you've not put anything into bad, you've not put anything into dropped. Well, that's because the vast majority of these, thus far, are things that I've watched personally. And I would not include something on this list. I'm not going to sit down and watch something that I disliked, right? Well, there are a couple on here that I was kind of made to watch that I ended up disliking. So, we'll get to those eventually. But it's going to look... Oh god, people are going to be mad. Okay. Nichijou. Admittedly, I didn't watch all of Nichijou again. I watched maybe like 14 episodes of Nichijou throughout the year. Kind of on and off. Nichijou is, of course, slice of life. Nichijou, the title literally just means everyday life. I mean, it's like, if you want like the slice of life anime, it's this one. It has to be. It's the most slice of life, what the fuck is happening anime ever. I believe it's KyoAni who made this. What's his name again? Nichijou. It's just, you know, I would tell you what the plot is, but there really isn't one. There's a couple of main characters. There's this group of 3 schoolgirls who are like the primary focus of it. And just, you know, the antics they get up to in their daily school life. There is these 2, the professor and then this girl who's a robot. And the robot has to take care of the professor because the professor is a fucking kid. And then they also have the cat Sakamoto. It's also where we get the peak character design. The best character design of anything ever. Nothing has ever topped this. This is the single best bit of character design on the planet. There is nothing better than this. The deer wrestling, that's not character design. It's the crow from Nichijou. This is the best design, the best character design in history. Nothing has ever topped this. Sonic the Hedgehog, eat your fucking heart out. Mario, pfft, get out of here. Pikachu, I don't think so. Gojo, don't think so. Naruto, pfft, chump. Fucking Midoriya, you wish. What are other things I can roast? Chainsaw Man, Crow from Nichijou, peak character design. There's nothing better. There's hands down nothing better than this. This is the number 1. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just, you know, shit'll just happen. I really don't know how to describe Nichijou other than just saying shit just happens. A girl goes to pet a dog. The dog bites her hands, and she shoots a nuclear radiation Godzilla ray out of her mouth that nukes a city. A girl is sent out of class because she's in trouble, and she's looking out the window of her classroom, and she sees a deer out in the park, or out in like the central area, and she's like, oh my god, there's a deer. And then she sees the principal show up, who's like, oh my god, there's a deer. The principal starts trying to fight the deer. The deer attacks the principal. The principal rips off his suit to have a Kevlar dress, have like a full Kevlar suit on, does a German suplex onto the deer, and then the main gag of that is that his toupee falls off and he's bald. It's that anime? It's that anime. It's amazing. Every moment in that anime is amazing. There's nothing bad about it. I love it to death. the main gag is that that's how they wrap up the bit, is that he does the German suplex and his toupee falls off, and that's the thing that makes the girl burst into the classroom and be like, y'all need to see this shit, and then everyone's just like, why are you yelling? I don't know. If you ever need to turn somebody on to Slice of Life, that's the one I would recommend for them, just because it's so funny. Like, I don't know. Like, Slice of Life does this thing that I think a lot of people don't appreciate, because most people don't watch Slice of Life. And that is that not a lot happens in Slice of Life anime. Usually. Right? And so the way how you're able to differentiate between a good Slice of Life and a bad Slice of Life is what they do with the budget that they're given when they don't have much to animate, right? Nichijou takes full advantage of that concept and just has these moments in between a whole lot of, like, normal gags where shit just pops the fuck off and you're just like, what just happened? And you're like, okay, that was wild. And then they move on immediately to something else. I'm going to skip what the next one is to talk about an anime that does that well again. And that's 'Tis Time for Torture Princess, which I'm going to put into amazing as arguably one of my favorite things that came out this year. It is also a slice of life. The entire thing takes place in one room, functionally. Like, the first, 7 episodes take place in one room. And to fill that time, where everything is just taking place in a single area, they go over the top with what the fuck is happening in the animation. It's like everything is predictable, like you can kind of figure out what's gonna happen, but then you just sit there to be like, God damn, they're doing crazy shit. And the whole plot of this is that this princess, this medieval princess, is captured. And she's stuck in a cell, and they're trying to get royal secrets out of her. This demon girl over here, who's hot. One sec. Her name is Tortura. In case, you know, you needed to... Here. This is what she looks like. This girl, Grand Inquisitor, #1 torturer of the demon realm. Horrible, evil demon. Yeah. She's trying to get secrets out of this girl. This princess. The princess has Excalibur, who talks the entire time and kind of narrates everything. And then the whole series is just gags of, like, unconventional torture methods that they use on her to get her to talk. It's just like, God, she looks like she cries whenever she gets into an imaginary fight with her Hello Kitty plushes. Yeah, I could see that. I think you're describing Narissa Ravencroft, but yeah, I could see that. And then, all the while, the guy who's, like, trying to get this information from her... Let me show you what the guy looks like. So... The main villain is the quote-unquote Demon King, who's trying to get all of this information out of her, and then she caves on everything pretty much, on, like, the information. And so it's just like, okay, we need to okay, we got this information. The guards are unavailable on Wednesdays for shit, and it always is just something like this. He's the most intimidating, evil-looking motherfucker, but he's just like, my daughter has cram school on Wednesdays. I can't invade a whole other kingdom on those days. Can't do it. It's just shit like that the whole time. It's so... I love it. It's fantastic. Probably the best slice of life that aired this year that I saw. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Serial Experiments Lain. How many of you have seen Lain? Did you know you can watch all of Lain for free on the Internet Archive? Lain is a 30-year-old anime now, I'm pretty sure. Never heard of it. Ooh. You should watch it. All that you need to know about this from me is that is a BRB. I gotta go question reality. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to see the one thing I knew about Lain before seeing this? The one thing I knew about Lain before watching this anime. That's the one thing. That is the only thing I'd ever seen of this anime until this point. That is, of course, obviously an edit. And the shit that actually happens in that scene is really fucked up. I'm not going to go into it, but that's the one thing I knew. That's the only thing I knew about Lain before watching it. That and that the PS1 game that they have for it is worth like a couple $1,000s, and I have been scouring thrift shops across Hokkaido trying to find it. I got a feature on Up Baby? Sick. Yeah, Lain is it's I don't know. I do not know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe Lain. Does this anime have horror? It's psychological and psychological horror, so yeah. There's parts of... Okay. If you want to know what my thoughts are on Serial Experiments Lain, check out the podcast episode that we did about it, where we go in detail about what the fuck the show is about for an hour and a half and still don't talk about what the show is about. This is an impossible show to describe. It makes no sense. I don't know, man. It's, I'm trying to figure out how to do it. It's social commentary about humanity's relationship with the internet and how we all interact with it. And this was made 30 years ago and is still one of the best social commentaries on people's relationship with how they are online. And it's very upsetting that it is like that. And, yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, the other thing you may have seen of this anime, if you've never seen it before, is, let me do this. What the fuck? You may have seen this. you may have seen this. She's fucking getting it. Yeah, I don't know how to... I don't know how to describe this fucking anime at all. Yeah, back when the internet was barely a thing and they were right. 30 years ago and they were right. I think a lot of people know the OP. Oh yeah, well... Yeah, that got big on TikTok for a while, was the opening theme. And is still probably one of the best anime opening themes ever. I'm gonna just play it really quick for y'all.
Don't seem to understand. A shame you seemed an honest man.
And stop, because we're gonna get copyright claimed. Yeah, that's the opening theme. It's a fucking banger. It's called Duvet by Boa. And we have sound bites for it in my Discord. In fact, we have a lot of Lain sound bites for it in my Discord. Which, let me just give me a sec. Hold on. Piccolo. I'm in the wrong chat. I need to be in this one. Yeah, we have,
Present day. Present time.
And you don't seem to understand.
all of those are in the Discord, which you can join down below if you're on YouTube. I always forget that she's Korean. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's good. Hell's Paradise, I think I watched in 2023 as well. Did this air this year, or was this last year? I'm genuinely trying to remember if Hell's Paradise was this year or last year. I don't remember. Time is an enigma. It was 2023. Well, we're going to talk about it anyway. Amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed Hell's Paradise, and I thought I was going to hate it. Because normally I don't watch shows like this. Yeah, it was good. It was very, very good. Any show where the main character's power comes from the fact that he loves his wife so much, it's a good show. Any show where the main character's motivation is, I fucking love my wife, is a great show. And that is this Bell Crannel looking motherfucker's, like, whole thing, is he love him wife so much. Him and a bunch of other people go to an island to get a immortality seed or something like that. Except every time they send people out that way, they turn into flowers. And they're like, well, better go fucking find it anyway. And then they send them with, like, their police guardian or whatever to protect. So it's like, it's prisoners sent there with, like, a guard to make sure that they don't just, like, fuck off and do other things they're not supposed to. And it's good. It's really, really good. I am so sad that Season 2 is happening in 2026, not 2025 when they had initially announced. I should read the manga because the manga has wrapped up. It's interesting. A lot of good fight scenes in it. A lot of interesting concepts behind it. Groot's in it. It's great. It's a good time. I highly recommend it. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Alright. So, gushing over magical girls. Did anybody here watch Gushing Over Magical Girls? This one is a strange one, I guess, because it's borderline pornography. The plot is that the main character is like a fan of the magical girls in her town, and she is chosen by Kyubey, functionally, to become like not a magical girl, but an anti-magical girl, like a villain. And Kyubey is just like, you gotta fuck up these girls. And she's just like, but I can't do that, I love them. And then she's just like, yeah, but what if you, instead of you fuck them up, you just fucked them? And then she's just like, hold up. Run that one by me again, Kyubey. I need to make sure I heard that right. And yeah, after that, it's very, very horny. It's really kind of cute in a lot of ways. There is some great lesbian makeout scenes in this show. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun. It's very, I think the reason I liked it so much was that it's very, very self-aware. It knows what it is, very much so. So it doesn't like try and like beat around the bush or pretend it's something like deeper existential. Maybe that's why I have issues with Prillia, is because Prillia tries to have this deep, meaningful story, but then it has like underage makeout scenes in it, and I'm just like, I feel like there's a little bit of like a tonal shift here that isn't making too much sense. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say it was great. It was a fun watch all the way through. Shout out to this being a very fan service heavy show, having a loli character, and then doing almost no fan service with them. Like, ever. They just don't do it. They just straight up don't do it. I can't speak for Season 2 because there's a Season 2 coming out soon, but I appreciate the restraint that they had on that. They're just like, no, we're not doing that shit. Yeah, it was just fun time. Okay. Here's a fucking... Speaking of things I watched 10 years ago. Actually, I am. Jitsu wa Watashi wa. How many of you have seen this? I'm just gonna pop that into great. It is a... It's like a... Is it a hair? I guess it is. It's like a harem comedy anime. Yeah, I guess it would be a harem. There's 4 girls vying for the dude's affection. Is that the one where the guy is the guy keeping secrets of Monster Girls? He's keeping Monster Girls' secrets, yeah. So the basic plot is that this dude, main dude, is he can't keep a secret for shit. Like, he just can't do it. I'm gonna do this real quick, that way people can see things better. He can't keep secrets for shit, and because of that, the natural course of action is that he discovers that this green-haired girl here is a vampire, and if she gets found out that she's a vampire, she has to leave school. He's had a crush on her for like a year, and then it's just like, well, I don't want you to leave school, so I'll keep your secret for you. And so then they also discover this girl's secret, and then well, actually, they didn't find hers out. I don't think so. Then they found out this girl's secret and all of them. And so the whole goal is that he has to make sure that no one finds out, but he can't lie to save his fucking life. And I remember I liked it a lot, like almost a decade ago. I read all of the manga up to where it was at the time. And I'm pretty sure it's wrapped up now, but I'd like to go and maybe like actually go pick up physical copies and reread it. But yeah, there's a ton of shit in it. We went back, rewatched it, like, is this still good, or is it just gonna be like harem, like, haha, funny, sexy shit? It's like, no, it's actually just really funny. They actually do the humor pretty well. It's stood the test of time to a degree. So, you know, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good one. I'm glad that I watched that. again, I would actually re-recommend that to people if you want just like a fun, kind of cutesy like monster girl thing that isn't like explicitly like porn, because everything monster girl related I feel like is porn. Yeah, no, it's good. Alright. Next. Me when my secret gets found, they can no longer exist in the same physical plane as I do. Pretty much. Flip Flappers. How many of you even know what the fuck Flip Flappers is? This was an anime that was made as the only product of its type. There's no manga, no light novel, no other works. It's just a standalone anime about a girl discovering that she's gay. And also, it's like a huge homage to like a bunch of like anime that came before it, I guess. Like there's references to Evangelion, there's references to Mad Max in this. There's references to like Silent Hill and shit. Like there's a whole horror episode in this and it's phenomenal. I'm going to put this into amazing. There's a couple of things in it that I really don't like, but for the most part it was so good. I remember Flip Flapper somehow. It has one of the most unique art styles I've seen in an anime. It's very, very reminiscent of like old school anime style, where the eyes are like way, way bigger. The lines are a lot more like scuffed. But like the visuals in that anime are so good. It's unbelievable how good they are. The one factor that is like not good is that they have really weird and it feels like really inappropriate and out of place fan service shots. Where it's just like, I don't know. This show does not need fan service in it. Like, okay, in like the mech episode, the main girl, her name is Papika. In the mech episode, there's just an unneeded scene that just straight up cuts to her ass bouncing on like a seat as she gets like knocked in the air, and she's like, okay, that was like the only big fan servicey shot I could imagine. Like that's really egregious. The manga is great. There's no manga for Flip Flappers, is there? I didn't think they did a manga for that. Unless it's new. Code Geass reference? Probably. I mean, like, the whole thing is, like, a reference. There's so many, like, homages to anime. There's an amazing scene where a girl turns a member of the KKK into a bunch of clovers. Like, that shot is insane. If any of that sounds appealing, I highly recommend checking it out, because I'm pretty sure that the actual anime, like, bombed, and so we'll never see anything else made for this ever again. Ever. It's never gonna come back. It's done. They're never doing it again. Which sucks because it is absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend just like go watch like the horror episode of it. It's so good. All right. I am now going to make a lot of enemies. And that's fine. 86. 86 is a mecha anime. The artist Actually, you guys might get a kick out of this. You're all Fate fans. The main artist for 86 is Tomoe's artist. Tomoe and Saika Magoichi's artist. And then the mech designs are done by the guy who does Artemis, Orion, and Babbage. So you would think, right? The designs in this should go hard as fuck. How many of you have seen 86? Before I make a placement, how many of you have seen 86? I don't know 86. I don't know much anime in general. Fair enough. I enjoyed it for its mecha designs, but I'm not a big fan of the characters. Okay. I have seen it, but I dropped it. Okay. Instinctually, I want to put this into bad. I want to put this here. But I do like some of the mech designs, so I'm going to put it into fine. I don't really care. I don't like the character designs in this anime. Both seasons. I saw both seasons, just so people know. And with my eyes open, in case anyone's going to make the really stupid fucking comment. Saw both seasons. It has some interesting concepts in it. It does jack shit to characterize any of the people that are in its cast. The designs for the characters are all kind of generic and bad. People just straight up die, and you don't care. Why should you care? Ugh. I like some of the mech designs. They're fine. I mean, here's the thing I'm going to say that's going to make a lot of people be mad at me. The plot of 86 and the plot of Nikke are not too far apart, except Nikke does it better. Do with that information what you will. Call me an asshole if you want to. That's fine. I don't know. I didn't vibe with this. Like, I praised earlier Promare for being very ham-fisted with what its ideology is and what it's trying to get across. Like, Promare is very much about racism bad. Very, very clearly racism bad. And, you know, just because people are different doesn't mean that they can't, like function or anything like that. Doesn't mean that they're inherently dangerous or anything like that. And that people in the higher ups will abuse people who are in a lower strata for their own gain. And because people who aren't in that strata are going to see that, and they're like, well, at least it's not me, so why should I fucking care, right? That's what Promare's plot is. The plot of 86 is very similar, except the characters. Okay, the difference between that, I guess, is that 86 is trying to be much more not even metaphorical, but like it's trying to be more serious with its plot, and I don't feel like you can do a complete ham-fisted like this is good, this is bad, and then not do anything to characterize your characters other than saying, but these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. It's like, well, great characterization is fantastic. I couldn't really tell you fucking anything about any of the main, like, the 86 who are the discriminated against group, who aren't the white-haired non-Nazis, because the main character in this show, who's the girl, is a Nazi, except she's a good Nazi, because she thinks that the people that she's up with are actually people, and so you know she's good because she's a good Nazi. And then there's a whole scene, either episode 1 or 2, where she goes in front of a classroom of people and tells everybody that no, actually the history you're learning is wrong, and I'm going to give you the proper history. Just do all the world building like this in a way that feels really, really kind of shitty. So then I'm setting up the entire world to be like this, and you know, oh yeah, actually everything you're learning is bad and wrong, and we're the bad guys and all of this, and everyone's just like, yeah, but aren't you just like stupid? And she's like, no, actually I'm right because I'm the main character. My face is on the posters. Shouldn't you listen to me? And that main character is a little crybaby bitch for the entire first season, and for most of the second half. Like, she's better in the second season. First season, she's fucking shit. Hate her, despise her. She doesn't make it through a single episode of the entire first season without crying like a little bitch. And you don't, I do not feel bad for her at all. It's just like, okay, well, there are more things that you could be doing, but that you're just not. And you know that there are, and that you're just not. Like, I don't know. When I think of mech, and then when I think of good mech, I think of things like Code Geass. I think of things like Gundam. I think of things like, well, now I think of things like Evangelion, which I watch after the fact. I don't know. It's there was more character building and like character building, world building, and sympathy put into the characters of Evangelion in the first episode than the entire first season of 86. I hated this show. I did not like this show at all. I would put it into bad if I didn't like the designs and if I didn't respect Pran, who this is his favorite anime ever, I think. So, out of the love in my heart for Pran, whose love for this far outweighs my hatred of it, I will put it into fine. He's not even here, and I don't even think he's going to watch this. But know that I'm doing this for you, who we about had a fight on Twitter, but I stepped back being like, this ain't worth it. I'm not going to convince you that it's shit, just in the same way you're not going to convince me that it's good. And this isn't to say that fucking storytelling needs to be, like, subversive or anything. It's me saying you need to have, like, actual characterization for characters if you want me to feel anything towards them other than just like, well, that guy died. Like, there's a whole scene in 86 where it's just like, I don't know, you have this group of 7 or 8 people of the 86 people, and they're just sitting around talking to each other, and they don't even they like kind of name 3 of them, but they're not on like the opening poster, so you're like, oh, these fuckers are gonna die. It's just like, I don't know, they don't do anything to make you feel anything towards any of the characters, and the things that they do are like not at all like worth anything. And people say that the second season is worse than the first season. I'm convinced that people who watched this show watched it on release when the only other things that were on were fucking like the first season of JJK, I think it was. Or no, it was Tokyo Revengers. The only other thing that was on was Tokyo Revengers, and then they didn't watch anything else, and because this was the only thing on, they obsessed over it. I challenge anyone to go back and re-watch this after you've seen other things and be like, okay, maybe, just maybe, this show is not the second best anime ever, which is where it's currently sitting on my anime list. I want to repeat that. This show right now is above, I believe, the second part of Code Geass. It's above Gurren Lagann. It's above Evangelion. It's above every single Gundam ever. The only thing above it is Code Geass. And it is completely unearned. Absolutely, positively unearned. If I could have, I would... I'm doing this for Pran. I don't know. Would anybody like to counter anything that I've said? Any 86 likers in the chat? Anyone want to like correct anything that I've said? Is there actually some deep hidden like characterization that I somehow missed? Motherfucker, stop being himself. No? Any disagreements? I'm willing to hear them out. If you have anything that you think I'm just like being out of pocket with, I mean, I want to make sure that I'm not just a fucking like weirdo who hated this show. If you liked this show or you thought this show wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be, please feel free to let me know. I'm willing to be open to interpretation. I did just go on a fucking like 15-minute rant about it. I have worse things to say, but it's also been like half a year since I've seen it, so I've forgotten a lot of it. So, I don't know. I don't think I could name a single character by name in the show as of right now. I know one of the characters codenamed like Snow Witch. And she has a tattoo on her back, and I believe that she's voiced by Ushiwakamaro's VA, which is why I remember her. Anyway, we're moving on. Moving on from that hot pile of dog shit, Wonder Egg Priority. Like I said, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't watch it again. I would not recommend anybody watch it again. Actually, I just did. Watch it again and then let me know what you think, if you really like it. I know, I'm pretty sure it is Pran's favorite anime, with the way that he talks about it on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's his absolute favorite thing. So I'm sorry, I'm kicking this fucking dead horse in the ground. I think nothing less of you, Pran. I still value you as a friend. I just happen to hate something that you love. Wonder Egg. How many of you guys watched Wonder Egg Priority? Made by Clover. What is it called? Not Cloverfield. Fucking Cloverworks. Which I incorrectly in the first episode of the podcast said it was made by KyoAni because it looks like it's made by KyoAni. Wonder Egg Priority is a story about a girl named Ai who is bullied because she has what is it called? Heterochromia. She has two different colored eyes. And so because she was bullied for that, and other things as well, she was a shut-in, and then one day she is recruited to help out girls, souls who have... Okay. Her best friend kills herself, and so she wants to bring her best friend back to life, and she's told by these two doll men, if you can help save a bunch of other girls who killed themselves... by helping them tackle their trauma, you can bring your friend back to life. And so she's just like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. And then the whole series is just essentially she meets other people who are doing the same thing. You learn about who they're all trying to bring back. It's very, very focused on, like, teenage suicide. It's very, very deep. And maybe not deep's not the right word. It's very like it hits close to home for a lot of people, I think, because either you've like had a friend I feel like a lot of people, especially in the modern age, know somebody who's killed themselves, or has possibly tried to do it to themselves as well. In which case, I'm glad that you're here and still listening to this, and that you didn't go through with it, or that if you did try and go through with it, that it didn't work because. The world is a picture, and it's a much brighter place with you in it, regardless of who you are. Wonder Egg tackles concepts like that pretty maturely for an anime, honestly. It does a great job of like discussing those really kind of fucked up parts of life. It has maybe the single best episode of any... I'm gonna put it's an amazing... it has maybe the single best episode of any anime thing, or maybe even any media I've ever seen for anything ever. Hands down, maybe the single best thing. The single best episode for anything in media I've ever seen, ever. Easily. And I think it's episode 8 or 9. It's with Maid. It's with Momo. It's the episode with Momo and then the transgender boy. It's with those two. And that's all I'm going to say. Even without context for what the show is, just know that it's about saving people who have killed themselves. Go watch that episode. It probably makes better sense, like, in the context of the show. But go watch that episode. It is easily one of the best episodes of anything I've ever seen ever. With how it tackles that kind of a subject matter and how well and maturely it does it. It doesn't beat around the bush, doesn't treat it like it's fucking like some freak shit. Knowing the show, you're just like, oh wow, damn, okay. Yeah, it's phenomenal. The only thing, my only complaint about Wonder Egg is that the last episode, episode 13, which is a 45-minute special where half of it is recap, is garbage. And the reason for that is because the studio ran out of money and time. And because of that, they kind of had to... They fucked up. They fucked up really bad. And because of that, it will probably never see a continuation or any, like, solution to it. So, you know, that's great. At some point in my life, I hope I can make it big enough where I can single-handedly fund reproduction of a movie for this to fix the fucking issues that were in that last episode. Because it does leave off on a cliffhanger, like, okay, there's possibly more to come, but there's a lot in that last episode that is just like, it just undermines the entirety of the show. All of it. If you just watch all of the episodes up to 12 and then stop, 10 out of 10. It leaves you wondering some things. You're like, I mean, I wish there was more to this, but if you just stop right there, it's perfect. It would be a masterpiece. But because that 13th episode exists, it's just an amazing. And I gotta say, not great. Yeah. I highly recommend that one. Alright. Judas episode. Yeah, just we don't need that one. It's like just one movie. We just need one movie, and it would honestly just fund a movie. Just fund one movie for this fucking series to wrap up the ending, and it's perfect. Genuinely, it's perfect. But it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Okay. Time Patrol Bond was a Netflix series made by the guys who made what's it called? Doraemon. And the plot is that a kid, his friend, he accidentally kills his friend, and then the Time Patrol comes back, rewinds time, and makes his friend not die, but because he saw them, he either gets erased from history, or he has to join the Time Patrol, and he chooses to join the Time Patrol. And then after that, it plays out kind of just like Fate Grand Order. It's like Fate, but without the servants. The dude just goes back in time, he saves one person from dying, or a group of people from dying, and then leaves. With the assistance of, like, a girl sidekick, 2 different ones per, like, 12 episodes. It's good. It's really good. It's really, if you like history, you'll like it. But I will say, it's one of those ones where it's information overload, and so after you watch, like, 2 episodes, you're like, I'm exhausted. It was a great, great series, and I would recommend it to people, but I don't know, man. It just felt kind of like... It felt okay. There's not really much to discuss with it, unfortunately. It was just kind of like, okay. If you like history, you'll like it. If you don't like history, you won't like it. But there's also a lot of insane gore in this show. They kill the main guy like 4 times. One of the times he gets fucking gored to death by the Minotaur, which is just a big bull. And then they also kill the girl by stabbing the thing's horns through its fucking mouth. Yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. I would recommend it. Alright, in our last anime, the last thing I watched, which was actually one of the first things I watched this year, Grandma and Grandpa turned young again. Grandma and Grandpa turned young again. Masterpiece. It's a slice of life where you'll never believe what happens, but a grandma and a grandpa turn young again. And the whole story is just following how they live their life in the Aomori Prefecture now that they have aged down. And now, like, they're now younger than their kids and shit like that, and they're just trying to, like, figure shit, like, out. And it plays... I'm gonna put this into great. Because while it has, like, the goofy slice of life stuff in it, it also plays around... That you were gonna watch Tatami Galaxy? I'm not done with Tatami Galaxy is the thing. I've started it, but I'm not finished with it, so it's not on this list. I'm gonna try and get that done this week. I'll have time this week. It's a very wholesome show. Grandma and Grandpa Turn Young Again, I mean. It's very wholesome. It's very sweet. And it's very existential. Because, like, there's a whole plot point in this show where it's just like... The reason they turn young again is because they, like, mended a tree. And so the tree thanked them by giving them a golden apple. And then the golden apple, like, de-aged them. And in their dreams, they see this giant hourglass that functionally got, like, flipped around. So now they're young instead. And, like, throughout the series, they, like, figure out, oh, wait, in our dreams, we can move this thing around to, like, change what our age looks like on a whim. So long as we go to sleep and we wake up, we can change how our age looks like. And then they get to thinking just like, well, shit. We don't want to outlive our kids. We really don't want to do that. That'd be fucked up. That's kind of like jacked. And they're just like, all right, well, they figure out like, well, okay, this thing is actually temporary. We're only gonna be able to do this for a while. This isn't like how things are going to be forever. So we're just going to enjoy becoming young again for as long as we can. And then once our time is up and then we're going to die, we're like, all right, cool. We're going to rock with that. It's really, really wholesome and cute, yeah. I weirdly enough, I almost want to put it into amazing. I'm actually going to put that into amazing. It's, in terms of, like, slice of life shit, it's one of the better ones. Like, there's definitely weird shit in it, but I'm gonna bump that shit up. I really enjoyed it. I give it bonus points for the existentialism. Yeah, it's really sweet. Let me know what you think if you do watch it. If you've watched any of these on YouTube, leave a comment below on which ones that you enjoyed and which ones you think I'm completely wrong on. Speaking of things I'm completely wrong on, first of all, hey, how's it going? Second of all, is there anything that should be moved around? This is about where I'm at with the things I've watched this year. By the way, I watched 86 for the podcast. If I was not, I would have dropped it. Happy to see Promare where it belongs. Promare was fantastic. And by the way, there's no particular order for the ones that are, like, in each row. So, like, I'm not saying The Night is Short, Walk On Girl is the best thing I watched this year. Ooh, stewed apple sounds really good. Actually, should we do that? Should we pick what I think my favorite thing? What is my favorite thing I watched in 2024? The Goat. That's hard. See, Frieren is certainly up there. Okay, here's the funny thing, chat. For Frieren, Eva, Dungeon Meshi, and Lain, I've bought merch for. So I think that because of that, I have to exclude Maid Dragon, Nichijou, and The Night is Short. I have the Frieren plush. I bought an Asuka figure because I couldn't find a Masato one. I have a Dungeon Meshi mug, and I've bought the Nendroid, the Lain Nendroid that just came out. Ugh. Fantasy setting is your main thing? Only 2 of these are a fantasy. There's 2 fantasy. Technically 3 slice of life. 1 mecha and 1 whatever the fuck Lain is. I've never heard Masato pronounced more westerny. How do you want me to pronounce that name? If you want to hear the Western pronunciation of Masato, I'd say Misato. Y'all like Misato from Evangelion? Evangelion? She's my favorite character, just like how I like what's her name? Rei? That's pretty much right. No, it's Misato. It's Misato. That's how you say it. You say Misato-san. I'm sorry. You're correcting somebody who speaks Japanese on how to say something in Japanese. You said Misato? Misato? I didn't say Misato. I did not say Misato. I said Misato. Chat gaslight. Tig is hyper gaslighting. Chat Borpem. Alright. Alright, so it's not Nichijou, it's not Maid Dragon, and it's not The Night is Short. I think in terms of like just pure enjoyability, like the one I thoroughly enjoyed the most would probably be Dungeon Meshi. That was probably the one I enjoyed the most. Just because Dungeon Meshi is so much fun all the way through. Frieren is up there too, but Evangelion is a fucking is a masterpiece. What was my favorite thing I watched? It's probably Dungeon Meshi. I think it's Dungeon Meshi. Which isn't a disrespect to any of these other like things that are on this masterpiece list. It's just if I'm just thinking of pure enjoyability, it has to be Dungeon Meshi. I could go back and rewatch all of Dungeon Meshi right now, and this is how I would feel. Right here, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think it's Dungeon Meshi. It was so much fun. It's just a really fun time. I don't think I'm going to go back and rewatch Evangelion anytime soon. Just because it's going to make me feel things again. Same thing with Lain. I don't know if I'm ever going to rewatch Lain. Not because it's bad, but because it's mentally taxing. Okay, I watched the first, like, 3 episodes of Lain in one day, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. Then the next day I watched all of the rest of it because I was like, what the fuck is happening? Frieren is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to more of it. And I did enjoy it. I just like Dungeon Meshi more because, I don't know, it's more slice of lifey, I guess. And also, yeah, somebody said it. I love cooking. I like cooking. I do like fantasy settings. I like all of the characters in Dungeon Meshi. Dungeon Meshi is a fantastic example of how to write good, interesting characters and how to flesh them out really well. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's like maybe I'm kind of like looking at how like my favorite thing and my least favorite thing are characters that are incredibly like well fleshed out and thought through versus characters that are not. Can we watch it together? Dungeon Meshi. I would go back and rewatch all of Dungeon Meshi again. Yeah, we could do a couple of episodes like a week. Do like 4 episodes. How many episodes can you watch in 2 hours? I look at Laos and I say, wow, that's what I call autism, and I love him. I mean, yeah. It's a very, very real representation of autism. Mind you, the creator has been like, he just likes monsters. But it's just, you know. Skipping OPs and EDs, 5, not skipping 4. I will skip endings. Dungeon Meshing's opening by Bump of Chicken is fucking awesome. But yeah, okay. Any quick changes? Dungeon Meshi's author confirmed that Laos is not autistic. I mean, yeah. I don't remember what the exact quote was. She said that he's just that way. It's fair. But you know what? If he's not autistic and people associate with him, if people who are autistic can like sympathize with him and relate to him because he has these hyperfixations and feels like an outsider, it's fine. I mean, look, he doesn't have to be autistic in name. If you're autistic and you can relate to him because of his quirks, then does it really matter? Do you have to give him the label to relate to him? If you relate to him already because he feels like he's similar to how you are with your own autism, then, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to be autistic. You can just relate to him as someone who acts in a way that is similar to autism. But yeah, Japan is also kind of weird about mental health stuff. Then again, so is America. I can go into the whole rant about how I hate how the modern internet has taken the word autistic to just mean quirky. Take this from somebody who works with people who are actually autistic, have very real autism, and how debilitating that is for a lot of people. And seeing people apply that label to themselves to just mean that it's like, it's just, yeah, I have these quirks. I like to collect like plushies and stuff. It's just like, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna throw a pillow at your head. I'm gonna go pick up a stick and hit you in your soft spot until you're not acting like a fucking moron. Like you're not so many, I don't know. I get irrationally upset with people who label themselves with shit like that. When people who are actually, you know, they have these issues, and it's just like it devalues how awful some of these things actually are. For some people. I work with a kid, he's got autism, that kid is incredibly low functioning. If he found out that people were calling themselves autistic because people act like that, he would probably be upset. He'd be like, what? Really? Yeah. Like, I mean, I know, like, some of my very close friends are autistic, and it's like, you know, you can tell. You can definitely tell. And it's not just, oh yeah, I'm a little bit quirky, I'm autistic. It's like, no, you're not. Like, right now, another big thing that people are pushing is like, you know, oh, my ADD, I have ADHD and it makes me do these things. Like, no, the fuck you don't. You know who has ADD, chat? Me. Something that all of you have seen actively on this stream. We'll be talking about shit, I'll see a comment and fucking 180 sidetrack to a completely new thing. Out of fucking nowhere. Oh yeah, people love to give themselves new things to just like act like they're not normal. Can I ask a question? Those in Japan who are staying inside constantly and isolating themselves, is it potentially undiagnosed autism? For some of them, for sure, but other people, it's just like hyper anxiety. I'd say it's more anxiety than autism for a lot of people with that. Anyway, really quick, we're going to wrap up this YouTube video. We can rant about this stuff after this. So for those of you on YouTube, thanks for hanging out. Let me know what you thought. I assume that there will be some very choice words about some series here. But you know, I'm more than willing to hear them. For now, though, check the links down below. Go listen to our anime podcast if you want to know about some of these in more in-depth detail. We are going to be doing the 86 podcast episode soon-ish. But if you want to know about Lain, for example, go check out the Lain one. Yeah. Go check out everybody and all the stuff. Follow the Patreon for all this stuff early. For now, though, guys, keep your chin up, lads. Peace out.